Hi, this is Glen Burtnik of the Weeklings, and you're listening to No Good Music.
Who's got boots and a suit of red? Santa's got boots and a suit of red. Who wears a long cap on his head? Santa wears a long cap on his head. Cap on head, suit that's red. Special night, beer that's white. Must be Santa. Must be Santa. Must be Santa. Santa Claus.
I have a special guest with me today. He's a singer, songwriter, bass player for the great band The Weeklings. He was also a member of Styx in the 90s. The Weeklings have just released their first Christmas album, simply called Christmas. And let's all welcome to No Good Music, Mr. Glen Lefty Burtnik.
How are you?
And my name's Rob. I've actually met you a couple of times. Let's start off talking about your Christmas album. We have 16 incredible songs packed into 38 minutes. I wanted to ask, first of all, when you record a Christmas album, you have to time it just right. If you record it, in November, December, it's going to be another year probably before you put it out. So when did you first start recording this album?
Well, it actually created a problem. Well, first of all, there are a couple of singles that we had released previously that they're Christmas songs, like maybe two or three or four. But when we said let's record a record, we really got to it late. We just finished this record like in October,
Okay.
and that has created difficulty for our record label, Gem Records. So they could actually so they had to really jump on it, and there was only enough time to create CDs and streaming. There's not enough time this year to create vinyl versions of the record.
That's what I was
So
wondering.
we were a little late, which created the CD only format, at least for this year. But it's a weird, Christmas albums are weird in that most people, and this is not my first time around in the Christmas record world, but most of the time people are recording Christmas songs in the heat of the summer.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask.
Usually happens July or August often, but no, we weren't that organized. We just kind of at the last minute said, "Hey, let's record a bunch of Christmas stuff." And then Bob Berger and we also added a bunch of these tiny little tunes, 30-second, 60-second songs. And that created this extra thread through the rest of the album.
I think it's I've listened to it like 3 times now. And I think that it all ties in together, the shorter songs. Because when I first saw that there were 16, I'm like, wow, that's pretty ambitious. But but there's a couple that are only like a minute.
Yeah.
But did you, in the studio, because I know some people put up a Christmas tree, they, I don't know. Did you have a snow machine? No, you didn't have a snow machine in there. That would get all over the place. But was there anything to get you in the mood of the Christmas spirit in the summer?
Not really. In fact, to tell you the truth, today was the day we were supposed to put up our tree here in my house, and we haven't yet. So that's how behind I am,
Yeah. This is the first year we put up our tree like a week before Thanksgiving. I think because Thanksgiving's late. Not late, but, I think it falls on whatever week that is. But, we're at December 1st already, and Thanksgiving was a couple days ago. But now, and I love that a lot of the songs on the album incorporate different like riffs, especially the Beatles, because the Weeklings are totally infused with the Beatles. And, joy begins with 8 days a week. But I had a question on, I want to go over some of this, not all the songs, but some of the songs. And first of all, tell me what would you say is your favorite song, one that you wrote or even to record off the album? Or do you have a couple favorite? Or are they all your favorite?
Yeah, that's tough. We get a charge out of rearranging pre-existing music that maybe we didn't write, and we also enjoy doing mashups, which there are a few here. And as you said, as you put it so accurately, we really began as a Beatle derivative band, but we right away we started writing. Bob Berger and myself were both songwriters. We've written together. We've written with others, and so this album, like most Weeklings albums, has a little bit of all of the above. For me, some of the ones that were closer to my heart are Star Carol and Another Year, because those are I really dug in on the writing of those two.
Let's talk about Another Year, because I do have that on my list. That it's the last song on the album, but it's absolutely my favorite.
Wow.
The party's over, friends are gone, embers are dying, didn't last too long. Music and laughter still ring in my ears. There goes another year.
Some I know, because I have the Weeklings, albums, the first, second, third one, and I know that you'll also record Beatles songs, but they're not like "Love Me Do," and they're the more lost Beatles songs. So so this album, some of the songs I did recognize, of course, but so I wasn't sure what songs you guys wrote. Some of them, and some sounded familiar to me. So I love that you wrote Another Year. And are you singing on that one? Who's singing on
that one? That's right. That's me as the lead vocalist on that one.
And I don't know if you want to take this as a compliment or not, but I think you sound like Bon Jovi in some parts on that. And I don't really even though I'm from New Jersey, I really don't like. You don't have to say anything because nobody knows me.
Yeah, I mean, because he's been having vocal problems, so I'm not sure what to say about that. But thanks.
You could take over. You could. You need some extra shows.
It's interesting. I did not expect that. Yeah,
I just not the whole. I don't know, something about your voice on that one is like obviously the more slower Bon Jovi, songs, more the ballad kind. I love that you incorporated Old Lang Syne into that song. And tell me about this song, like how, like when you wrote it or how it came about, how you got the idea.
For over 20 years, I would do a Christmas show of my own for years. And it was at the Bottom Line in New York City. And then it was at the State Theater in New Brunswick and Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, all these different places. And through that process, I got to know a lot of Christmas albums because I was always in search of a new Christmas song to do or something that I didn't know that might add to the shows or whatever. So I really, I've got I've got a big box full of Christmas albums and CDs, and
Okay.
So I kind of became a student for a while of Christmas releases. And one thing I kind of remember from that bunch of music is I'm going to move a little bit. Are a lot of times they would end albums with a parting shot, Auld Lang Syne often appears at the end of a Christmas album by, whoever, Andy Williams or Rosemary Clooney or whoever, Bing Crosby. But there's a few. A friend of mine, Reagan Richards, she turned me on to this song called "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve," which was a Edie Gourmet song. Anyway, so here we were making a Christmas record, and I decided, well, what would be an appropriate final track on the album, and that's when so that was my inspiration for the Another Year song, and it really is. It does capture kind of my feeling of what this holiday time of year includes, which is, holy crap, the year is over.
Yeah,
here comes another one. And so that was basically the impetus for that one.
I always found it odd with New Year's Eve, like New Year's Day, because it's just another day. And because we go by, a calendar, and it's it's nothing has really changed, Right. but you feel, okay, this is the beginning, and that's why people start going to the gym, start going on diets, stop smoking, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
It kind of recharges you a little bit, maybe.
Well, and also it's just it's a landmark. It's a timekeeper. It's the way we measure our time. And there is a lot of reflection. It's like, wow, a year is gone now.
Oh, yeah.
What did I do in 2024? And you kind of reflect on, and sometimes it's like, heavy stuff, wow, this was the year that I lost my wallet, whatever.
Yeah.
This is the year we got a war with some other nation, whatever. All of these things.
Oh, yeah. I'm already thinking that. Back in April, I lost a friend I'd never met, but we were friends from the MySpace days, and he knew everything and anything about music. And he had kidney problems. I won't go into the whole thing, but he was 50, like, what was he, 54, and just was gone. Called me 2 weeks before, left him. I didn't even recognize his voice. So that was a hard one. But the thing was, even though we hadn't met, he would text me literally every day for the last 15 years about music. So now when I see something, someone has a new album out, I can't, that's the person I can't text. So that's for me, that was pretty heavy this year for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm very sorry.
So let's see. So let's, some of the other songs. Must Be Santa. Now this is a 60s. This was written in the 60s. And you begin that with Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. That's a mashup. You're right that the original version of Must Be Santa was introduced by Mitch Miller, who had this sing-along television show in the 60s.
Okay.
When I was a little boy. I remember him. But it's a song that won't go away. I mean, Bob Dylan's recorded it, and a lot of people have recorded it. We just thought, because we are a Beatles derivative, if you want, band, it seemed like an interesting formula to mash it up with, Helter Skelter off the White Album.
I mean, even though you do Beatles, you're like I said, infused with the Beatles, but you also are infused with the '60s. You know, with Peter Noon, you had him do, I think, a couple songs with you guys. And but there is a song, Christmas Day.
Snow's coming down hard, another year's gone, at least we made it this far. Oh yeah, we're on the eve of destruction, mass corruption. Everybody's trying to get a tax deduction. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day, and everything's gonna be okay.
No, I don't think there's any Beatles references that I can tell in that song, but it's a Bob Dylan, like a subterranean homesick blues.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're obviously very 60s influenced in our songwriting too, at least for this project, for the Weeklings. And you're absolutely right. That's like a Dylan rap song.
Yeah.
Of Bob's. That's primarily Bob Berger's song. And it's very Dylan.
And then are you a big Seinfeld fan, or is someone in the band? Because
I think we all are. You know, most people of our age are. Predominantly, it was Bob that said, I'm writing a song about Festivus, which is that's a good subject for a holiday end of year album, and that's a hysterical holiday that was actually created by one of the writers of Seinfeld's father. But it's become a bigger thing now that it's on Seinfeld, and so Bob wrote a song about.
And I don't think anyone's written a song about Festivus that I know of, which is weird.
I'd be surprised if someone hadn't before, but
maybe we
this
just
is
haven't
the first time I've heard one.
Because Seinfeld's been off. That was 30 years ago. So.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, are you planning on making any videos? Because I know you like to do some videos sometimes. They're still a thing.
Well, we're so late on putting out the album as it is.
Yeah.
We do have at least 2 videos from some of the songs that we had previously released. Christmas Time Is Here Again, which is basically a cover of a special Beatles song of theirs that they would give out to their fan club members. And the other one is it's a mashup of Winter Wonderland with Revolution, the single of Revolution by the Beatles. So that's somewhat similar to Must Be Santa. It's a mashup of like a Christmas classic with a Beatles groove. And those 2 songs, Christmas Time Is Here Again and Revolution Wonderland, those 2, there are videos for those 2. Yeah. But I think that might be it. I don't know. There might be something for Christmas Day. I can't remember.
Well, it's just a video with the audio, right? For Must Be.
Yeah. I think if there's going to be videos for any of these, I think that would happen a year from now.
I have an idea. Well, the first idea they don't have enough time on is to get fans of the Weeklings to sing the Must Be Santa and put it all together. But the other easier one is, because I want to ask if you're doing any Christmas shows. I think you are with the Weeklings, where you get the whole audience and make that the video for Must Be Santa. I don't know if there's enough time involved in that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'll bring it up at the next week.
Because that would be a fun festive. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, it's never that easy. It's never as easy as it should be. And making videos,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of a big deal. And like the editing of videos
Hmm.
takes a while, and a good edit takes even longer.
Oh yeah.
So all
And
of
it
that
takes
stuff.
longer than you think it would or want to, you know,
Yeah, for sure,
sometimes.
definitely.
I mean,
And
the greatest thing is the finished product, though. You put all this time into
yeah,
it. And
yeah, for sure.
just doing the podcast, what we record, sometimes our podcasts are like an hour and a half, and I would sit here for 4 hours editing out and I don't do that anymore. And I record it as a live. I have a soundboard, so it's our
Yeah,
intro music. If I have any sound effects thing, uh, so that I can just take it and put it out. So I don't have,
cool.
don't have time. But what would you say, besides your new album, is your favorite or a couple favorite albums of all time?
Favorite albums of all time.
Christmas albums, because
Oh,
you said you
Christmas
collect Christmas.
albums. Yeah, yeah. Oof. There's different. I tend to go towards some of the old stuff. Like
Hmm.
I for
Sinatra.
some strange reason, I have fallen in love with the Christmas records of Andy Williams. They're
Okay.
really corny,
Uh-huh.
really old school, but they're also really quality, well
Hmm.
recorded and good songs. And he's a good singer. And um, of course, Stevie Wonder's "Someday at Christmas" is a great record.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good album, start to finish. There's a bunch of great um, compilations. There's one called "Cool Yule," which has
Hmm.
like Louis Armstrong and a lot of
I think I've heard of that one.
yeah, Eartha Kitt and a lot of old hipster stuff
Hmm.
from like the 40s.
Yeah.
That one comes to mind too. But compilations are a good way to go. I think there's
Yeah.
there's a lot. For instance, there's Christmas singles are more common than albums, and so
Hmm.
there's one called "You Slay Me" that has like McCartney's wonderful Christmas time, along with the waitresses, Christmas rapping.
Yeah.
That like a couple of these compilation records that
I think I have that.
include
I have that one.
brilliant singing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of fun too. The albums that are
Hmm.
compilations of great rock Christmas singles.
Yeah, I have a lot of CDs, but then I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, I started collecting vinyl. And I'm up to 600 albums, but I tried to look for a couple Christmas, like old Christmas ones, and I found two the other day. One I didn't even know existed. It was Bobby Sherman Christmas album, and
Wow.
it and it was $1. And I took it out, I look at it, and it looks like it was hardly played. And Tammy Wynette, I found Christmas album for $1.
Right.
You know,
Right.
can't go wrong.
Cool stuff. Yeah.
Um, so let's see here. Uh, let's talk about, because we have like 10, 15 minutes though. I wanted to talk about Styx. I love Styx since because I'm going to be 59 in a couple of days, and so I grew up, listening to music in the 70s, and Styx was one of the huge bands that I loved, and even into the 90s when you were in the band. But tell me how it came about. You replaced the bass player in the band, right? I guess he left the band, or you tell me, to our
Oh,
listeners.
yeah. It really didn't start that way.
Okay.
Styx broke up at one point, and uh, then about 6 years later, they said, "Let's make another record. Let's get back together."
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, Tommy Shaw was busy putting together a new band called Damn Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rest of the Styx still wanted to make this record, and so James Young had met me because I had a couple of solo albums out on A&M Records, and A&M was the label that Styx was on. And so we had met at some, radio promotion kind of hangouts. And so James suggested me to the other members of Styx, which included John and Chuck Panazzo, who are the were the drummer and bass player. Dennis DeYoung was the kind of the lead singer and songwriter. And so James Young introduced me to them as a second guitar player, substitute replacement for Tommy Shaw, that was the Styx that had most of the hits, was, Tommy with JY and Dennis and the Panozzo brothers. And so they liked my music. The rest of the band did like my songs. I wrote a couple of songs with them. I wrote a couple of songs for them. We put out an album called Edge of the Century in 1991. We had a little action with it. It wasn't the biggest hit that I had hoped for, but it went well. And we did a tour. And then Damn Yankees ran their course a couple of years later, and Styx rehired Tommy. Tommy was back in the band. And so they didn't need me, because I had been in Tommy's place. So they did a tour or two. And then John Panozzo got ill, the drummer, and he passed away. And his twin brother, Chuck, also became ill, and they needed a bass player to take Chuck's place. John Panozzo was replaced by Todd Zuckerman, who's a great drummer. And they called me back. They said, "Hey, you want to play bass?" And I'm a bit of a multi-instrumentalist. I play a little bit of everything, So I was like, bass, sure. I love bass, great instrument. And so I came back and I joined around 99, and I hung out for, 5 years, and then I split. But so I really had two different times in the band, two different jobs. I was a guitar player, part one, and part two, I was the bass player, and I got my yayas out. I got to sing songs. I got to write songs both times, and it was all fun.
And then Dennis DeYoung eventually left, I guess, and because they have another singer. Yeah. But I saw them like 5-6 years ago. I saw them at Music Fest in Bethlehem, because I'm near there, and they blew me away. Though it was like, I think it was Joan Jett and Styx, and I was amazed. It sounded, not exact, but the band was so tight, and I had never seen them before. So my 12-year-old self seeing Styx for the first time, it took me back. No, it's a great band, no doubt. Now there's a song that I simply love, and you probably know what I'm going to talk about. Is you wrote "Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough." I remember when that song came out, Don Henley and Patti Smyth. It went to number one. They loved it in Canada because it went to number one. The U.S. it didn't do so well, and you wrote this with Patti. But how did it come? Did you originally record a demo with Patti? Is there something that exists or did or did you just? They were looking for another singer for Patti to do this song. How did Don Henley come in?
Yeah, I wrote it with Patti. For the record, by the way, it went to number 2 on Billboard in the U.S. and number 1.
The adult contemporary, I think.
So it did well.
Okay, yeah,
in the United States.
I remember hearing it a lot.
But, we did a demo, and then with Patti and me singing. I sang the harmony part. That later she asked Don Henley if he would sing the harmony part, which was a really good idea. because Don was on top of the world at that point, and he was getting a lot of airplay. And so it kind of helped draw attention to this song that Patty and I had written. And an interesting story there is that Patty went into the studio and had Eddie Van Halen on electric guitar, me on acoustic guitar, Don Henley singing with her, and she handed it in to Columbia, which was her label at the time, who and she finished her album, and they listened to the album, and Columbia said, "We don't hear any hits." So she left that label and she went over to MCA Records, where it became this international hit.
Wow.
But it was a different version. It didn't have Eddie Van Halen on guitar anymore, but it was very similar, very, very similar.
So is that version on her album? The one with Eddie Van Halen?
Yeah, that's the version you know.
Yeah?
It's a version everybody knows.
Okay.
Produced by, Bruce Springsteen's pianist, Roy Bittan.
Okay.
So that's how that happened.
I have just a couple more questions for you, and I thank you for joining me today because I've been wanting to interview you for a while. I've messaged you a couple of times, but you know how that goes. You probably get lots of messages. But I know Maureen now from Gem Records. Thank you, Maureen. So the name The Weeklings. I always think it's got to be something to do with the Beatles 8 days a week, maybe. I don't know, week. Or maybe it's not. Like how did that name come about? Or did someone just throw out that name?
Band names are always like difficult, and it's hard to make everybody happy. But
everyone has to agree on.
It's not that great a story. You
could make up one.
I know. But the one that I made up was that we met at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Working out at the gym. But no, the truth of the matter was that one time we were working on a bunch of music together, and the keyboard player, who didn't end up in the band, but he's a dear friend of mine, Dusty McCallie, he walked in and we were just kind of goofing around and saying, the Beatles, they weren't so good. What was so good about them? Their music wasn't that great. And Dusty walks in the room. He says, "Yeah, they were weak." And it was, we all thought that the funniest word for the Beatles is weak, because no, of course not. It's like this. Here, 60 years later, and it's the most important music possibly on the radio. But so we just said, "Hey, let's call ourselves the Weeklings." And then we said, well, let's not make it let's not make it WEAK, weak. But so it just turned to the Beatles changed the spelling of the insect Beatles their. And so that's the way that they inspired us to make it into the Weeklings. But it's just a name. It's just a handle.
Got theirs. You probably know from Mercy Beat, I would think. The Beatles. Beat. Maybe. I don't know.
I can't say I know for sure how they came up with that one.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you, so Little Steven's Underground Garage, he does Coolest Song in the World. Are you guys in the running this year?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I'd like all of your listeners, viewers, friends, family to look up Little Steven's Coolest Song in the World, because there is a vote happening right now and we're asking everybody to vote for us for Coolest Song in the World for the year. Like on the Little Steven's channel, every week there is a Coolest Song in the world for 1 week. And at the end of the year, you've got 50 some songs that are voted on by the general public. So we're we're hoping that people kind of cast a vote for us. But
is it for Raspberry Park or?
It's for the song "All the Cash in the World," which was on our February album, Raspberry Park.
Okay. It's odd because I looked up last year's, and the person who was number one, I just got permission to use her Christmas song for our Christmas podcast, part of it, and it's Courtney Hadwin. She had a song called Monster. She was on America's Got Talent when she was like 14. Something.
Wow. Wow.
So it's weird. I I literally got an email today because she's from the UK, from I guess her publicist saying, yeah, you can use the song. And then I look up this list to see if you guys were on last year. And she's like number one.
Cool.
So Glenn, thank you. Anyone wants to buy the new CD or get some real cool Weeklings merch? I'm wearing don't know.
Nice.
I've had this shirt a while, and it says the Weeklings on the back. I was at your first CD or album release. I think it was at Vintage Vinyl. I was at the second one. I think it was there too. And I saw you guys at the Outpost in the Burbs some years ago. So I am a fan, and I'm real happy to talk to you today. But you can go to weeklings.com, and you can also find the Weeklings on Facebook, Instagram, also Glenn. And Glenn with one N, right? And with a K on your last name. You changed your...
There's
your
multiple ways to change to spell my name.
Yeah.
You'll find me if you look, you know.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's Festivus. It's Festivus. Chase the tree and stand up the pole. It ain't got tinsel, if you drop it, it'll roll. And this is the day for the rest of us. It's Festivus. It's Festivus.
You've been listening to No Good Music. Today's interview was produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded via Zoom at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts. Intro and exit music by the band 99%.